Oh God, I hate to say this. Okay, here we go. Whether we even deserve to survive.
Um, yeah, well, let me help you with that. I think I can. Um, we definitely deserve to survive because we're stuck in the following predicament. All of the worst atrocities in history are downstream from programs that are evolutionary in nature. But all of the best stuff that we are capable of is too. In other words, humans are effectively caught between multiple possibilities. We can be terrible, we can engage in warfare and genocide, and we can be completely deaf to the humanity of others and treat them as objects or worse, as entities deserving of torment. Or we can be tremendously compassionate and innovative and hell bent on creating beauty and insight. All of those things are features of humans. And I think wise people have repeatedly happened on the recognition that it isn't one or the other. That the question is really, will we create the circumstances that bring out the remarkable things that only humans are capable of? Or will we allow those structures to break down and return us to this natural state of conflict in which our innovative capacity is put towards bigger and more frightening weapons and torture mechanisms. And so I guess what I would say is, if we can recognize that both things are on the table, and we can understand that we are actually morally obligated to create the conditions that bring out the best in humans, then we will have earned our place. And if we ignore that obligation and play these petty games and destroy ourselves, in some sense, that will be on the collective us for missing the opportunity. And to me, the thing that is most tragic is that the people who wouldn't have done that are condemned to the same fate. I want to see as many people as possible recognize that human beings can be terrific creatures if they have the conditions conducive to it. And then,
Which they themselves have to create, though, the conditions conducive to it.
exactly. But the point is, look, I can name many, many people who would no doubt take us in, we can't say that it would work, but they would seek to take us in the correct direction to liberate as many humans as possible, to give them the tools to innovate positively, to generate insight, beauty, all of those things. There's no shortage of those people. They are on a ship with lots of people who are insisting on playing this other game and demonizing and tormenting and torturing. And I hate that those two groups are stuck with each other because, there's only so much the wise people can do to divert our course to the obvious one. But I also see that as a predicament that, for me at least, fills every day with meaning, right?
Doesn't it just? Absolutely. You get out of bed knowing what you're here on this earth to do.
Right. Yeah, and it's certainly an interesting puzzle. How the heck can you steer a ship like this one? You know, where even is the helm? Never mind that nobody's manning
Right.
it. Where even is it? Right? Is
Right.
it?
Right.
Are we going to get there through podcast land? I don't know.
Well, I think enlightened, uh, rich forms of media have to play a part because, again, we're immersed in multimedia today, and it would be silly, I think, to suggest that any of us is immune to being influenced or shaped by the media that we consume. But your I'm not going to call it optimism, because I think you're smarter than that. In fact, I know you're smarter than that. But you seem full of hope, which is not the same thing as optimism. Hope suggests that we do have agency should we choose to use it, and use it wisely, obviously. And you remind me in that way of of my younger self when I was traveling, the world, speaking to Muslims and others about the need for reform in my faith of Islam. And I remember being told by all kinds of people, some well-meaning, some more malevolent, that give it up, Manji. If Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream, you have a pipe dream. Violence is baked into Islam. And this may be your way of denying that, in fact, you're an atheist. But better that you come out of the closet now as godless than, waste your breath and everybody else's on something that simply can't happen. And trust me when I say that I took a lot of time to think about those sorts of comments. I sat with myself for many an hour, really, exposing myself to questions about whether, in fact, I do believe, why do I believe, and so forth. But the bottom line is this: that was, 16, 17, 18 years ago. Today, I hear from young Muslims, a whole new generation, and then even the generation after that, who say, I can have conversations like this with my parents, with the elders of my community, even with theologians, because people like you opened the door. And once that door is opened, it can't be closed. Now, whether I choose as a young Muslim to walk through that door, that is my choice to make. But I couldn't walk through it if it wasn't already open. I remember when I was teaching at the University of Southern California, round about 4 years ago, I held an event called Forbidden Questions about Islam. Forbidden questions. And the whole point was to invite people's most burning questions that they felt they couldn't turn anywhere else to ask. And at least I would assure them, can't say this for the audience, but I would assure them that they will not be immediately judged for having those questions. Let's get it all out on the table. Not only was that event allowed to proceed, but afterwards, I spent 4 hours in the atrium of the building engaging with a large group of young Muslim women, almost all of whom wore hijab, okay, the head covering, and who couldn't get enough of this honest discourse. And it reminded me that, to quote Edmund Burke, and I'll quote him, directly, I won't try to sanitize it: no man makes a bigger mistake than he who does nothing because he does only little. It's so true that we still have that agency